Hi everybody, this is Anthony West. Hey, happy holidays, or whatever you celebrate or don't celebrate. I hope you're having a great week in general. So today's video is just a little bit of a thank you video for everyone pretty much allowing me to make very indulgent videos and stick them on YouTube and then watch them. And I don't think they have any benefit to society beyond I like doing them. So thank you so much for watching. Ask for some requests on Twitter and Insta and all my social, basically asking for people to drop me some references for characters to draw, and I'll leave a question. Let's start with the first question. This is from Tree Stumped. What is your worst Art Sally experience? Oof. As some of you may or may not know, I've been doing the convention Art Sally scene for about 10 years now. Started all the way back in 2010, and I still do it today. Worst experience? God, a lot don't come to mind, to be fair. Thankfully a lot of my Art Sally experiences have been good and neutral or really funny. The only really bad experience that's coming to mind right now is I was doing this really bad convention. I don't think I made over €20 or anything like that at this convention. I'm not going to name names because I could, because it doesn't exist anymore, but I won't. But I was at this convention, really bad convention, and there was just people there who just, I don't know, I think they got the sense that they could really misbehave, so they just went ahead and misbehaved. And there was this one fella. He came up to my table and he just kind of stood in front of my table and he was just looking at my boobs for a long old time, and it wasn't even subtle, and he just kept staring. And I get it, I have a large pair. I grew them myself. I grew them myself. The seeds were inherited to me by my mother and a long line of big breasted ladies. I said it to him yeah, they're boobs. Well done. And he got really frustrated and just kind of huffed off, and I was like, okay, that's the end of that. He came back later. There was a guy who was also selling, and he was standing behind me, and he was dressed up as Slender Man. This was years ago when I think Slender Man was kind of at the height of his popularity and stuff like that. The guy, he glared at me. This was Boob Guy. Boob Guy glared at me, and then dramatically turned his head towards the other guy dressed as Slender Man, and Jesus, God love him, this Slender Man guy, this was his first convention that he was ever selling at. I don't think I've ever seen him again at a convention, unfortunately. Maybe he's given up. I hope not. I hope, Slender Man dude, I hope you're still selling your artwork. Good luck to you. Anyway, so Boob Guy was to Slender Man guy, hey you, he started giving him ridiculous orders, because Slender Man guy was kind of doing that. People were asking him to do silly things and he was doing it. But I don't know why. I guess everyone was just so bleeding bored at this convention because it was empty. Boob Guy said a bunch of stupid things to him, and then he pointed towards me and was pull that girl's hair, and I was no. I turned around to Slender Man dude and I was no. And then I turned to your man and I was no. And then he hoofed off, very disappointed, and never saw him again. And that was, I don't know if that's my worst experience, but it was one that I still remember to this day, so it had some form of impact on me. But Art Sallies are great. If you ever want to do Art Sally, or you're ever looking for advice on doing Art Sally, if anyone's ever interested, I can actually do a video talking about Art Sally stuff. No bother. If some of you are interested in that, leave a comment down or tweet at me or whatever. I say that could be a really interesting video to do. I have a lot of friends who also have been doing Art Sally for as long as I have, so maybe we can do a collab video. Finger guns, wink wink. So next question. This is from Tata Calthrop. I'm sorry, I got your Twitter handle wrong. What are your inspirations for fantasy world building? Yes, that's a nice question. Oh, I'm sorry if my voice is a bit growly. Been sick for 2-3 weeks now, and I think I'm kind of on the edge of being kind of better, but I'm still at that kind of miserable state where it's kind of ugh. but not like, ugh, you know what I mean? Probably not. Anyway, I'm also snowflake and coffee, so sorry. Anyway, fantasy world building. So, my main inspiration for fantasy world building is, like, I did actually read a lot of fantasy literary books growing up. Like, I ate those up like nothing else. Reading all those books really did help my thought process behind creating fantasy worlds, but also just a lot of real world stuff. The world is full of stuff, and it's really cool stuff, and that cool stuff will look cool in your cool fantasy stuff. So, for example, is the world is based on South Asian countries, India, Thailand. I picked those because I found I don't see those sort of regions kind of reflected in fantasy very often, and there's just gorgeous visuals, especially in India. India has some absolute gorgeous visuals, so I really wanted to use those places as kind of a baseline inspiration for how I created the world. Just one thing though, if you are going to create a world that's based on a country that's like not your own, especially if you're white, just be respectful. You know, use the inspiration sparingly, create your own thing, but always remember that these are real places with real people, and don't take advantage of that. Like, always respect where your source material is coming from, and I hope that I do the same with my own work, because again, I'm very white, very Irish, so it's just try to keep things as respectful as I can when I'm creating my fantasy worlds. So yeah, other media, real world places, real world history, those are all fantastic places to build up your inspiration for your fantasy world. I hope that helps. Next question is by Kate Plate. Out of all your characters, who has been your favourite? Oh, this is a tough question, cause some of my characters that come to mind very quickly are actually characters who aren't really in the public eye yet. So I don't know if that counts or if that's cheating. Well, I have two characters who are both in kind of work in progress creations. One is this character called Nan, and she's in my current work in progress graphic novel Imp, and she is just old lady who has guns and will shoot your face and steal from you, and she loves her trans grandson so much, but she will kill you if you look at her funny, and I love her so much. She's great, and I can't wait for everyone else to read about her. She's not the main character, she's one of the main supporting characters, and I really do hope people enjoy her as much as I enjoy writing her. I probably didn't describe her very well. She's a terrible person. Like, there's no two ways around it. She is like a bad person, but she's not a bad guy, if you get what I mean. She kind of is though. She does try to like shoot the main protagonist several times during this book. You'll see whenever this book releases, you'll see. The other character that I have that I really love, but she's not in the public eye, is Sue. I might do a video on Sue. She might be in an episode of Fan OC to original, maybe, I don't know if she counts as she did start as a Fan OC. However, she's fully developed into her own character with her own original world and story, and her story might very well be the next story I work on after Imp. We'll see. I might do a video on her anyway because she's a really fun character. But she's actually a character that I've played D&D with. I was doing this game with a cool person. I was doing like a modern fantasy place, and I eat that up. Sue was my character. She was a monk. She used to be a ballerina way in the past, but now she's like petty criminal. She's an absolute trash fire. Like, just every decision she's ever made in her life has just led to every awful thing that's ever happened to her, and she has no one to blame but herself. And I love her because she's just terrible. Like, she does her best and she does have good intentions and she tries so hard, but she just really messes up her life so badly. And I can't wait to write her story. It's basically around her being a trash fire, working as a petty criminal. Well, she was supposed to like transport a kid. Modern fantasy, and these orphans are being used to transport magic over the border, and this little boy is just filled to the brim with illegal magic, and she's like, I'm totally not into human trafficking. This is bad. So she just kind of, on a whim, steals this child, and it's basically this whole story of her trying to protect this child and trying to bring him to someplace safe. Like, it's still very much a development, but that's basically the outline of it, and I can't wait to get working on it. I guess my favourite character who's definitely in the public eye, I'd like to think anyway, is probably Bunny. What is it with me? I really love characters who are just terrible. I love terrible characters who make terrible decisions and then awful things happen to them. That's definitely the type that I like, and Bunny is definitely one of them. He's just a grumpy little squeak. That was just Bunny. These are the things that I like to write. So I say for favourite character, we'll just say Bunny for now, because everyone who's read my work anyway knows who Bunny is. Okay, so next question. Mrs. Peach asked, how do you get over loops? For example, drawing left facing, 3/4 view faces, or same face. Tips and tricks, please. Okay, like, there's no easy way around it. It really does just take practice and using guidelines. Your guidelines are your best friends. Like, if you see any like face tutorial, you'll see the kind of cross plus sign that kind of goes across a circle. Like, that's your face guideline. So the one that's going across is the brow line where your eyebrows are, so the eyes tend to just go a little bit under that depending on the character design. The line going down vertically is the middle of your face, and a face is made up in thirds. So your first third is like, I think it's the top of the head to the brow, and then your second third is your bottom of the brows to the bottom of the nose, and then your last third is the bottom of your nose to the chin. I recommend looking up Andrew Loomis's books on drawing heads. I found it very, very helpful. It's the method that I use somewhat, because my anatomy skills are terrible, but it's Christmas, just let me have this. Andrew Loomis, all of his books are free online. I totally recommend downloading those. Yeah, so I hope that's helpful in some ways. Next question. So, Lacey F. Watson asked, what's your favorite comic? Oof, what is not my favorite comic is probably an easier question to ask. I like a lot of comics. First graphic novel that comes to mind is Bone. Bone is fantastic. It's a huge inspiration to me, huge inspiration for Faye actually. Totally recommend it. PTSD, I can't remember the author unfortunately, but they have a gorgeous style, really interesting, intense book. Seconds as well is really good, by the same creator behind Scott Pilgrim. I have so many favorite comics. Comics are just so good. Beautiful Darkness, that's also a gorgeous book. It's all watercolors. It's a comic about these little people who are basically living in a corpse of a child. It's a very, very kind of dark fairy tale sort of story. Totally recommend that. Webcomics, I've been reading Gonna Create Court for like a billion years. Tamberlane, Gemini, that's really good. I was hailing the compliments there for graphic novels, but like webcomics, man, webcomics are so good. They're just so good. If there's something you can't get as a graphic novel or a published book, you can absolutely get it as a webcomic. You just have to look. Webcomics are so cool, so good, and like, you should always support your favorite local webcomic artists, because we need it. Because webcomics are really hard and sad, but also great. Okay, next question, because I could just keep going on trying to remember the names of things. The Beth Barnett, that's where we go. The Beth Barnett asked, where is your dream holiday? Dream holiday, I don't know, I'd love to go someplace warm, just relax, with a lot of like foliage, but not too hot, because I'm Irish and I'll burn. I've always I wouldn't call this a holiday, but I have always wanted to go to the island. It's an island coast of Japan that inspired Princess Mononoke, which is like one of my favorite Studio Ghibli films. And it's just this big ancient forest, and I just want to walk in it. That's it. I just want to walk through this big ass forest and pretend I am an anime girl. Yeah, so ideal holiday, someplace warm, someplace with my friends. I can walk around in trees. So last question is, Kieran45 asked, is cereal a soup? No, cereal is not a bloody soup, because soup is defined as a savory meal made with broth. And guess what? Milk is not broth. It's not that hard. This is not a hard question. Right. Okay. I think that's all my questions. So once again, thank you all so much for allowing me to make these stupid and fun, very indulgent videos, and I hope to make more in 2020, and I all hope you come along with me on this journey of YouTubing. Thank you all so much for watching, asking for requests and or leaving a question. I will see you all in the new year, and I hope you all have a wonderful holiday. Bye!